All right, everybody, welcome back to an Alabama Pros podcast. And I feel this is a bit of a take two. I guess like movies always like there's always the second one that comes out. Jordan, this is the second time we're doing a podcast together. How are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great as well. So we did this before, and I don't know what they might have been. Maybe it was kind of internet gremlins or something, but chose not to get this recording to work the way it was supposed to. So tonight we're back. We got to hang out again, and I love it because I can talk volleyball all day long. You're a student athlete. I would love for everybody to hear, like, what is your story around volleyball? And let people know, first of all, like where you're from, what school you're going to, but how did you get into like why volleyball out of everything in the world? Why were you like, this is what I'm going to do?
Yes. So I'm currently a sophomore at Stephen F. Austin State University. I'm on the women's volleyball team. Play my primary position is middle blocker. So yeah, I'm currently majoring in mechanical engineering. A little fun
Oh my
fact.
goodness.
Yeah, it's going pretty good so far.
Wow.
So
Okay. All
yeah, we're
right.
moving in the right direction. But yes, back to the volleyball. My story is a little bit different from your average D1 volleyball player. I actually did not start playing club volleyball, which is kind of like the AAU for
Is that what most people go through club volleyball to get into collegiate volleyball?
yes.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so like I played high school from my freshman year all throughout, but I wasn't necessarily interested in playing past high school at the beginning of my high
Mm.
school career. It was something that I was decent at, but I was like a strong like academic student, so that's kind of what my focus was more on, and my parents kind of felt that way too.
AKA mechanic engineering. Okay, we
Y-
definitely we'll explore that in a second. But that sets that up beautifully.
Yes. So all throughout high school, a lot of my teammates that were playing with me played club, and their club coaches and their club teammates would come and watch them, and I'd always get like the same question from them when they come. They'd be like, "Why are you not playing like, or come play for me, or please like let me do this with you?" And I'm like, "I'm not really that interested." And they're like, "I'm like, just give me time in the gym, and like we can." I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna give it a chance." I decided my 18th year. Mind you, that's a really, really short season. It's maybe 2 or 3 months. I maybe went to 3 tournaments, something
Mm.
like that. But I played ins and went very well, obviously. SFA came to see me. They saw something that they liked, and now I'm here and I've been enjoying myself a lot. So, yeah.
That's so cool. You're kind of like, no, I'm not interested. I'm over here building rocket ships or something like crazy like that. So how did like what is that process for those, there's people watching here who've never been a student athlete or never got a scholarship. Like what is that process from you're playing club volleyball, but are people like watching you and scoping you out and then like does a school come to you and say, "Hey, we'd love for you to play to the school," or do you apply or like how does that work?
Yeah, so for me personally, so I created a Huddle account, which is where I put a lot of my film from high school. I created that account before I really started playing club. A few different schools had saw me that way. I believe SFA saw me that way first as well,
Mm.
but they did come and see me. Now, traditionally, when schools are really interested in an individual player, they'll actually send like a coach or somebody on the staff to actually go watch them at a tournament. And that's exactly what they did. It was one of my qualifying tournaments, I believe. They came to watch me. Maxwell,
Mm.
one of our assistant coaches, he came to watch me.
Oh, very
And
cool.
I remember he came in, I saw him. I was like, okay, like, I'm gonna do good because this was the first time it was like a school that I actually was interested in going to. I came to see him,
Okay.
and he stayed for maybe 10 minutes and he had left. And I remember thinking, I was like, he left so fast. I'm like, what did I do? I was like, oh no, no, no. And the game is over. I walk up to my parents and I'm like, I don't know what happened. Like, he left so fast. I checked my phone. He texted me. He was like, I've seen enough. We want you to come on a visit. So I was like, it was very nerve wracking at first. I was like, okay,
You feel like they should warn you in the middle of a match. Like you're in the middle of a game and then they walk out and you're
yeah,
like, you fall apart. And meanwhile, they're like, yeah, no, you're so awesome. I've seen enough. Well, that
right.
must have made you feel pretty great when you finally saw the text message.
Yes, yes, true.
So tell a couple of people because and I've actually met with some of your other student athletes at your school before. But for those that don't know where your school is, you guys are in like the coolest name town in America. Tell everybody where you guys are located.
So we are located in Nacogdoches, Texas. It is the oldest town in Texas. East Texas, about an hour from Tyler, Longview. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good for people. I'm pretty sure I was the first podcast with you. I'd never heard of that town. I actually thought I thought you sneezed and just made up the word. Like I didn't even know it was like a real name. And then I
Right.
looked it up because I have some friends that play tennis at Tyler.
Mhm.
So, it's pretty cool that east side of Texas. So, but tell me about your schooling. This is really cool. I didn't realize that, why did you decide that? Is that just something you're interested in or kind of fascinated in, or feel like there's a career path in there? Like, how did you choose from saying, I'm going to be a volleyball player, being a student athlete, but oh, by the way, I'm going to be this engineer or mechanics engineer on this side of things? Because that's intense studies.
It is. It definitely is. I started my freshman year as a pre-law major, political science minor. I want to be a patent lawyer. So my major
Okay.
can throw people off a little bit. I actually don't want to be an engineer, but in order to, so there's a completely different bar that you're required to take to be a patent lawyer. And they require you have basically a STEM degree. So basically, I had a lot of options to pick from, but personally for me, what made me want to do mechanical engineering was I felt like that was a major that would essentially be best for me in the case where maybe I needed maybe a break after finishing undergrad, and like if I wanted to take a little bit of time off before I started law school, I feel like I would be able to do very well and still get the proper like preparation for the STEM aspect of patent bar, and yeah, be able to be prepared and also maybe have a job before going to law school that would still be decent for me and like my situation. But yeah.
There are a lot of people watching this right now going, man, I wish my daughter, my son had this vision. And this is really quite incredible. So you're actually taking that to support your actually longer term vision.
Hmm.
That's incredible. I remember when I was a tennis player, and I think my course I took was recess and then phys ed, and that was about it. I mean, that's all. So huge credit to you. That's an amazing journey that you're on. So tell me a little bit about, because also, you've got a lot of stuff going on schooling wise. You have a personal life going on. You've got being a student athlete. All of this adds up, but you're now also an NIL sponsored athlete. So for those that don't know what that is, it's you've been sponsored by a company, name, image, and likeness. This has been a big shift in the industry of collegiate sports, right? Because back in the day when we were at school, like there was no such thing. But now you can partner and align with companies. So you were introduced to this company called Alovea. So how were you introduced to Alovea, and what was it that like caught your interest to saying, I'm willing to put this company and connect my personal brand with this company? What was it that made you say yes to that?
Right. So here at SFA, we are partnered with boosters, which essentially are alumni that have really good relationships with my head coach. One of my boosters is Sarah Gallender. She has a very good relationship with the people that work with and for Alovia. She introduced me, I would say last fall. She gave me a couple of the products to try. I vividly remember before one of our conference games against UIW. This was I believe,
This is getting very specific. I like this.
my best performance statistically. I had took fuel and focus. I had never played in a competition ever that well, and after that, I was like, okay, yeah, like this is for me. She also explained to me more of like the background information about the company and the service aspect, as well as the natural ingredients and just the overall wellness aspect that Alovia has, because a lot of my teammates and just other athletes, we need supplementation for different things, and energy is a
Mhm.
really big, I would say energy is something that's really important, because sometimes you need that extra bump to help you get through practices, lifts, everything like that. And I think that it's very important that we focus on, although yes, we need energy that's clean, and it's kind of hard to
Mm.
get these days. And Alovia is a brand that all of their products are completely clean, and that's something that I definitely stand for. So that completely aligns with everything that I believe in, and everything that I want to endorse.
Well, that's so awesome. And by the way, there's like some golfer watching this right now that's going to be like, fuel focus. I'm going to go take this and I'm going to shoot the best score of my life. And if they don't shoot the best score, they're going to blame us for this
Yeah.
podcast. They're going to be like, Jordan and Craig, they set me up, you know. But the reality is, I think you said something so powerful there that because people are looking for energy, there's so much stress, there's so much strain, there's so much activity in today's world where people are on phones nonstop and there's almost never a shutdown. And for a lot of us maybe watching, we're out of the schooling system, but you're in it, you know how nonstop tense it is. But it's so easy to turn to the Red Bulls and the Monsters. They have a lot of money, they have a lot of marketing, they have a lot of, but there's also a lot of not good stuff in there. So have you always been interested on, is this something that you've learned through education as being an athlete? Or is this something that has always been somewhat part of your conscious way of being an athlete is wanting to eat cleaner and eat healthier? Where did this come from?
So I will admit that prior to coming here, I wasn't really focused on, I mean, I was focused on eating clean to an extent, but definitely I wasn't thinking about reading an ingredient list or thinking about the chemicals because at club tournaments I was one of the ones. I was drinking a Celsius, I was drinking a Red Bull, and like I knew that those things weren't the best for me, but at the time that's what I was knowledgeable on, that's what was convenient for me. But now that I've been here and I've actually been surrounded with more people like Sarah and some of my other teammates actually who are nutrition majors, that have given me more knowledge on the importance of having clean energy, clean fuel, prioritizing, the right carbs, the right proteins, right things to put into my body. That's definitely something that's grown as I've grown through my career.
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously I've got all this white stuff here for a reason because I'm a lot older than you. And back in the day, you know, going through tennis scholarships and everybody that I grew up playing with,
Mm-hmm.
there was this concept that people would have a Big Mac and then play a match. And there wasn't as much of this thinking and thought process around food was thy medicine, or just thinking Gatorade's the best thing on the market. But then you advance technology, you advance education, you advance functional food, and you're seeing this big shift. And that's pretty amazing that your school builds that education awareness in what you're doing. So, you know, let me ask you this. I think this is fascinating. So you hear about this, you've got this great credible, I know Sarah, so she's got this huge credibility. The fact that your school is partnering with people that can bring this education to you guys is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Side note, anybody looking at schools, you should see if your school does this because I think it's super smart. But you still had to do your own verification of saying, do you want the brand Jordan connected to this company? What is that like for you to saying, was there a checkbox? Was it a feeling? What did you have to go through to saying, yeah, I want to apply for this and I want to see if I can get sponsored by this company?
Yes. So whenever I'm looking for, brands, products, or anything that I like want to associate myself with, I mean, even outside of NIL, just any aspect of what I have going on in my personal life, volleyball or school, I just always make sure that is it something that I would use every day? Is it something that I feel comfortable encouraging family or friends to use every day? Is it something that I feel like is going to like improve my quality of life? Other people's qualities of life, and like is this essentially am I is this going to be is this more for vanity purposes, or is this something that I truly believe in? If it's something that I truly believe in and it works, then I'm all for it 100%.
And the way you're answering these questions, are you running for president one day and can I help be your campaign manager or something like that? I mean, it's feeling like a lot of hope with the future. Seriously, brilliant, brilliant response. And I loved how you put too, it's like, because there is in today's world of social media and influencers, a lot of it can be vanity driven. I love the fact that you kind of tied into the fact that no, is it something that is you're almost value driven,
Hmm.
tied into your own personal values, which good on you. Huge congrats. You know, this company does something that's quite unique. It does something called buy one, give one. It's kind of like a Bombas socks or Tom Shoes was in the beginning, where every time there's a purchase, there's a giving. And of course, Alivea has partnered with an organization, Mana Relief, to nourish children around the world. 7 million kids die every year from malnutrition. The company just surpassed 66 million servings to children in need. And it's the same technology in that fuel and focus that you took
Hmm.
called Alavea Ace Mannan. And I know it's an important thing to Sarah. So when she spoke to you originally about this, was that part of the conversation, or how did you learn about that? And how did it make you feel that you're now part of this company creating this ripple, nourishing kids around the world?
Yes, Sarah did let me know. That was one of the first topics that we touched on when she introduced
Oh, wow.
to me, yes, and the rest of the athletes here at SFA that are also endorsing Alovia. Personally, for me, I thought that the giving aspect of it was really important. I remember our last session, I kind of touched on the fact that my team were very focused on giving and service and volunteering opportunities and everything like that. It's really hard to incorporate, those things when we're in season, when we're currently in spring season and having like that more rigorous schedule. So just
Hmm.
knowing that at least a partnership that I have that's going to be year round every day is going to be contributing to a greater cause makes me feel like there's like a plus added onto it, because it's like I'm endorsing something that's good for the people that I know, good for the people that are watching my videos, watching my content, but also like knowing that like the purchases that they make will impact people who are in need and who need things that are less fortunate. So
I love that. That's so powerful, so beautiful. And boy, it's been so much fun hanging out. Maybe we're supposed to do this again so I could like reconnect with your positive energy and your vibe. Like it's so awesome. So okay, here's just a fun last little question. Somebody's watching this, maybe they've got a niece or they've got a daughter, or maybe a young child's watching this right now, young
mhm.
girls watching this. If they want to get into volleyball, they're like, man, I just saw Jordan. I want to start playing volleyball. How do you get started? What would be your number one recommendation for somebody who wants to get into the sport of volleyball?
Honestly, the answer that you would probably get from anybody
Mm,
else
you got me curious on this response.
the answer you probably get from anybody else is club, pay all this money, do this really young. I mean, that will help, obviously. But all you need is the love for the sport, and
Mm,
that goes for any sport. If you don't love what you're doing, you're never gonna really get to that level where you can play at. But the love for the sport and just the drive and determination, when you go in the gym, just give it 110%. Not everything's always going to work. Not everything's always going to look pretty. You might not always be the very best person in the room at a skill, but if you at least have that mentality where you want to be there and you manifest that for yourself over time, it's going to work out in your favor essentially, and you'll be playing at a higher level.
do you have a mic right beside you? Can you just drop the mic? That was a boom. That was a pause. That was an awesome response. I actually just watched a podcast today on love and about how love is a force.
Hmm.
And it's like an energy force. And you're absolutely right. Like when you connect that love, like and oddly enough, Alavea, do you know what's in the middle of Alavea, the middle of everything we do?
Love.
It's love, because it's
Yeah.
spelled love, A. That's how Canadians say it. Alovea, a love a. No, but Alovea. And but that love statement is such a powerful thing. So I mean, what a great reminder for anybody watching this. If you know somebody's going to get in sport or volleyball, start with that passion, start with that love. And Jordan, you got a lot of that. So big thank you for being part of with the Alovea Pros call today. And it's just so much fun hanging out with you today.
Thank you so much.